What's up, guys? Today let's take a look at UPF slash LPZZ Arkham Knight from the video game Batman Arkham Knight. This is their third release in their video game line and fifth release in general. The fourth one is the Red Death. The reason I didn't review this guy is because I had a pretty nasty paint chip on the torso, so I just got him back for after sale. So if you want me to review him, please let me know, okay? Anyway, yeah, this figure is, I would say it's pretty good. Well, not pretty good, it's really good, but there's still some nit that I need to pick because, you know, this is a review and not a product placement. So without further ado, let's take a look at the figure. First of all, I want to say they really nailed the overall proportion and the general look, right? This look right out of the game. It's very good. The first thing I want to say about this figure is that the helmet. Zoom in. Frankly, I think it looks a little bit too flat. All right, this is supposed to be a translucent helmet, but the way they do it is, I think they painted something on the like this is a, as you can see here, this is a blue translucent part, and they probably painted most of it, some of it on the bottom and some of it on the translucent part, and especially the eyes. I think the eyes looks very flat. The red hood head is much better looking. We'll take a look at that during the accessory section, but just so you know that I don't think this is the, this is definitely better than the Amazing Yamaguchi one, but I think this could be a little bit better. Also, there's some detail missing on the helmet. For example, this should be two pinkish line going forward, right? Obviously, they can't animate it on the action figure, but they should at least paint a very faint pink line here. And also, there's some information, some chart on the helmet. It's not absolutely necessary, but I appreciate that if they include it, okay? And everything else is pretty good. There's some weathering here, like some on the armor bit, and the scope, the detail. Well, I don't think this is let me zoom back. I don't think this guy is as good as the inner Arkham Origin Batman. This is definitely up there as one of the best. Okay. Yeah, the blue armor part. There's some washes to it. It's not a single color. And detail, as you can see, the weathering, the pouches. The way they do the torso cut is, even though there's a 3 cut, but there's 2 cut here, it's very seamless, so it's very nice. And also there's some wrinkles and stuff, even on the articulation part. The pants. Now, I do feel like the finish should be, they should put a different finish on the cloth good part, supposedly cloth good part, right? It's a little bit too shiny. It should be more matte because this is like fabric, not leather or anything, and should be distinct from the, for example, this part, right? The feet. Zoom in. Paint is pretty sharp. Weathering here. And the grenade pin is a separate piece. I love little details like this. Yeah, that's a very nice touch. Like I said, overall, I'm very satisfied with the scope and paint job. Just a little bit nitpick. For example, like I said, the helmet, and there's some, well, I guess I'll talk a bit during the articulation section. Yeah, so let's do the articulation. The head can look, oops, all the way up. Look down, bury his chin. Rotation is happening at the bottom of the neck. And the collar is a separate piece that just loop around the neck joint. It's the same design as, what's it called? The Batman Who Laugh, which I think is a pretty good design. And tells about this much. It pretty much hindered by the color, but the much you can do there. Now the butterfly joint on this guy is frankly not my favorite. Like if I were to design this figure purely as a figure hobbyist, this is not the way I would go. Okay, it's a pull-up joint, sort of like the 52 Toys Chun-Li figure, and because this is a ball here, you can also wiggle around. Okay, and shoulder pad is on the hinge. You can raise about 90 degrees. Bicep swivel here, and the bicep swivel is also a ball joint. We'll see more during the section where we swap out the part for Red Hood, but basically, yeah, allow more movement than your typical bicep swivel, which will come in handy when you're trying to use the shoulder for a butterfly movement. All right, double jointed elbow. Now I think the elbow is a little bit too big, and this is the same issue with the Arkham Knight. Yeah, Arkham Knight Deathstroke, where this barely had any sculpted details, so it looked kind of strange. Same goes for the butterfly joint, right? This has almost no details, the undersuit, where this has ton of details, so this looked kind of strange. Now I don't know if this is how it looks in the source material. Just saying, if that's the case, well, that's my bad. Anyway, back, the gauntlet can also rotate a bit, and this is a floating piece, right? And the ball joint is ball hinge, typical stuff. Now the way you use the butterfly joint for the butterfly movement is that first you have to push the armor, chest armor a bit inside. You pull out. If you only use the shoulder, you're only about this much. Next, you're going to use the bicep swivel to get more range. Now, if you use it this way, this becomes a curve. And frankly, to me, this looks a little strange. Like, I'll give you an example. I would definitely use a Kyoto style joint, right? For example, this is the Figma Solid Snake. And this is the best pistol shooting pose you're ever gonna get on an action figure. This is a very good pistol shooting pose. Same goes for the amazing Yamaguchi Arkham Knight, right? The arm is straight. The both eyes are on the iron side. Like I said, if I were to design this just purely on the butterfly joint, this is the way I would go. But you know, I'm just a collector, not a action figure designer, so I could very much be wrong here. Anyway, yeah, the torso, there's one cut, two cut, and a waist joint. And crunching forward is very good, and the silhouette is very smooth, so that's very nice, and no gapping on the back. The scope continues. That's very nice. Now there's a little bit issue on the diaphragm cut. When you're trying to reset the position, it was sort of stuck here, right? Because the scope on the midsection is interfering with the diaphragm cut. The way you handle this is you move the chest to the side and then reset the position. Okay, crunching back like the diaphragm cut, because the ball joint is very forward. Oof, like so, yeah, and this is a single ball joint, so crunching back on the diaphragm cut, pretty much no range. You're very much rely on the, what is it called, the waist joint for crunching back, and even then, it's not amazing. Okay, to the side, very good, and again, very minimal gapping, very good range. That's nice. For rotation, diaphragm cut about this much. You can force it for more, but I'm not gonna do that. The midsection, a little bit, and the waist joint, you can do 360 there. Right, so the torso articulation is definitely very good and very nice looking. A highlight of this figure, okay? These two are only connected on the, like this part, and these two are on hinge, right? And there's a little bit plug hole here. See the hole and a little plug here. So if you want, you can plug this into this hole. I'm not gonna do that because I still want the articulation. Side swivel. You know what? Let's zoom back. Yeah, only about this much. And drop down. Look at the top of the thigh, it's completely smooth. It's not very good looking, but since this is a drop down, you're not gonna look at it this way, right? You're not gonna drop the hip down and just keep it this way. This almost never happens. You can kick over 90 degrees, although you have to kick a little bit to the side. Back. But again, I'm not sure you're gonna use this very much. Kick to the side is probably why they cut the top smooth, right? You can kick to 90 degrees, no issue. And cross leg. Double jointed knee. Like I said, you need to sculpt the knee joint. For whatever reason, they only done the knee instead of both knee and elbow. No idea why. And because of the way the joint is designed, there's a bit of rotation on the shin. See the pin here. And the ankle that can go pretty far back. Going forward, it's not amazing, but probably enough. And the ankle rocker it's not great. Mainly because of this piece. Even though this is soft, it still impede the ankle rocker. And for rotation, the way they do this is kind of strange. Oops. Like as you can see, this piece is connected. You know what? Let's zoom in. This piece is connected on the shoe and all the way connected to the shin. So you can't redo a 360 on this. So the ankle is a little bit limited, and but overall it's pretty good, right? I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan of how they do the butterfly joint, but if you're not as demanding as me, you will be perfectly fine with it. All right, let's take a look at his accessories. For hand, he comes with 9 in total. The trigger finger hand is already on him, and this single right hand 2-finger tapping the helmet for communication. Right, the hands are pretty nicely done. And of course, his custom pistol. Now, of course, I also have to nitpick a little bit that the trigger finger, like the trigger finger hand, is always, I don't know, trigger discipline, right? And the pistol seems a bit undersized if you look at the picture here. Yeah, but at least the detail is nicely done. And for some reason, the amazing Yamaguchi pistol is bigger than his. So yeah, it's definitely undersized. And the single pistol that he used that wounded Batman and used a little bit during the final battle. Okay. The rocket launcher with a hand glued on. And the effect piece you can use on either one of these. Okay, and the two pistols combine into a sniper rifle. Now for hand option, I wish again it should come with a hand for holding the pistol, like a hand like this, right? He has the sort of a claw hand and relaxed hand, but those hands are not really for that. And of course, his unmasked head. Let's zoom in. This is very well done. I love it. And the expression is also very, very faithful to the source material. The only critiques I have is that should be a bit shading around the letter J. It's not very visible. And the rest is just his red hood part. Of course, like I said during the Accessory section, I'm going to take a closer look at the red hood helmet. And you can see why I prefer this one, because it's much more like layered compared to the red hood one. This look more high-tech because there's more layer to the both paint and detail and everything. And in comparison, the Arkham Knight helmet looks a bit flat. Like I said many times before, nitpick. This might not be a important detail for you, but you know, I like to nitpick things at times. Oh, and remember the floating piece on the helmet, right? You need it for the red hood head, but you don't need it for the unmasked head. And since you don't have the floating piece, the articulation is a bit limited, especially looking up. Like, it's not bad, but definitely not as good as the red hood and the Arkham Knight helmet. All right, let's take a look at all the red hood part, and I'll make a separate section for swapping out the part. And of course, almost forgot the stand. All right, and there's no teaser for the next figure this time, so you know, keep you guessing, I guess. Okay, let's do it. Wish me luck, because doing this kind of stuff on camera is always tricky. The head, right? Shoulder pad. Wow, this is gonna be tricky. Okay. See, there's two hinges here, so you need to like put it this way. I'm afraid I might have to use heat because this is very tricky. You know what? Give me a second. Okay, so I pulled the arm out, and this piece is about here, right? Yeah, this is this part, and for the forearm part, you need to slowly pry here. Where's the forearm? Be careful with these long peg, okay? And plug it in. See the ball joint I was talking about? Yep, this is the correct way. And The shoulder pad is gonna be pretty annoying to put on. You know what? I'll put it on the last. And for the shim pad, just pull here and should come right off. Yep. There you go. Now for the shoulder, for the chest, you need to pull this bit to the side and then slowly wiggle the chest plate out. Oh god, my cat is coming. Hopefully she's not an annoyance. Look at this. It's a C-clamp. Holy cow. This is not the design that I prefer.
A few moments later.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. There's a little bit of stretch mark here. I see it. Yeah. The C-clip is definitely not the correct way to do stuff like this. It's just not good. There you go, and push this part back on. Then we just need to put this part on. Give me a second. Okay, finally get the shoulder pad on. Just push this way, okay? Put the arm on first. Okay, that's the arm. Oh god, so it's finally finished. Yeah, as you can see, there's a bit of a tricky part, like a few places that's pretty small and not very easy to deal with. I'll say the biggest issue is the C-clamp here, and I have seen a lot of people who, when they're swapping out the red hood part, and this armor bit here is going to have stretch mark. Now they have asked the LPZZ and they said, it's not going to be a huge deal. So for now, all I can say is be careful with it, okay? I also ordered a second one that will just permanently keep him as Red Hood, because this swapping back and forth is really annoying and I don't want to do that ever again, to be completely honest. And frankly, I wish they can just sell a 2-pack, because yeah, I could buy 2, but they're just a whole bunch of extra parts I'm not gonna need, so that's a waste of money. All right, let's do the size comparison. This is the comparison that a lot of people really want to see, right? The Amazing Yamaguchi Arkham Knight and Arkham Red Hood used to be the best Arkham Knight and Red Hood at this scale. Now, obviously, it's gonna get dethroned by the UPF. Understandable. This is a relatively older figure, like I think 2020 or 2021. I can't really remember. It's a few years ago, and UPF is obviously at the next level in terms of paint job, scope work, and detail. And Amazing Yamaguchi is never known for that. And obviously, this is very stylized, the Amazing Yamaguchi one, and not everyone likes their style. Even in terms of articulation, the Amazing Yamaguchi is not that much better. Well, in some places are worse. For example, the hip articulation, they're never that good on their figure. Yeah, so I think for your average collectors, the UPF one is definitely the way to go, right? If you prefer a bit more extra, for example, gun shooting post, like I said in the articulation section, if you care about this a bit little details, then you can still go for the Amazing Yamaguchi one. Like, I will still keep mine because, you know, I just like their figures. But yeah, if you don't care about that, UPF is the clear winner here, with Inar's Arkham Origin Batman and Sexy Eye's Anaconda Strike Smasher, with their Batman and Deathstroke, with Mayfix Solo Suit Superman and their Red Death, with Gone Studio Superman and Stone Arena Nash, with McFarlane's Arkham Knight and I think this DC collectible or DC Direct Arkham Knight Nightwing, with Jada Toy Akuma and Marvel Legend movie Wolverine. So all in all, it's pretty obvious that this is a very good figure and the best Arkham Knight and Arkham Red Hood. Well, not the DLC Red Hood, you know what I mean. Yeah, at this scale, despite my seemingly incessant nitpicking, right? I can enjoy and appreciate a figure while still has something that I don't like. Is pretty common. Anyway, yeah, really good figure. Hope you guys can get hold of it. I heard there's some cancellation going on, so it's gonna be pretty unfortunate for some people who got their order canceled. But if you have this figure, I feel like, yeah, you're not gonna be disappointed. This is a very good figure. The look alone is worth it, and on top of that, has great articulation and a decent amount of accessories. So do I think this is their best figure? Possibly. I still like Batman Hulette a bit better, but this figure is definitely up there. And very much looking forward to Anar if they ever decide to make a Arkham Knight figure, because I just really loved this design and curious to see what they can do with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.